So joining me today for our last webinar of 2023 is Dr. Robin Sargent, founder, owner, and president of IDLE Courses, IDLE Academy, and IDLE Talent. And without further ado, I will let her take over.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie. Appreciate the warm introduction. Hi, all. Welcome. And so, as you may have guessed, today is all about zapping your way to automated learning and development. So I like to play on AHA slides. So if you want to join me on AHA slides, I'd like to ask you a few questions about the types of things that you want to automate and the types of apps that you are using in your role as learning and development professional. So you can join me by going to ahaslides.com/zapping. You can open it as a new tab in your browser, or you can pull up the QR code and put it on your phone while you participate with us on your desktop, whatever works for you. I just would love for you to join me on AHA Slides. Awesome. I see that I already got 7 of you, 8 of you. So wonderful. This will just help me know exactly what kind of tools and apps that you're using without trying to scroll the chat for those things. All right. So my first question for you is, what is your learning and development role? This will also help me cater to you on this presentation, because depending on your role, you might have different things that you want to automate in your job. Okay, we got a training manager. And got an LMS admin. Oh, LMS admin, you're going to be happy you're here today. An instructional designer. Actually, all of these automations that I'm going to teach you about today can be used in any of these different roles. It'll just be different tasks for each of you. All right, got a couple instructional design, a couple of LMS admins, some training managers. I'm sure some training managers will want the beauty of automations. All right. Cool. So that's who we have here with us today. We got the majority of you are training managers. All right. So how many of you have been spending your day where you are like writing emails, checking Slack messages, pasting data into spreadsheets, pulling reports from your learning management system, updating your project management tools, or sending certificates, or reviewing course completions? Right? Those are the types of tasks that I'm talking about that you can automate. Now, the focus of this is going to be Zapier, right? But I want to know if you've ever automated a task before in any app. So it's either never, or if you have a project management tool like Asana, okay, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Where you can create your own automated workflow, like if this task is completed, then do this and then do that. That's another example of an automation. I'm going to show you how you can automate across several different apps using one tool called Zapier. All right, cool. We got a couple of Zapier familiarities, a one-time automation. All right, awesome. Wonderful. So if you've done it one time or a few times, you know the power of automation. You probably come in here to learn a few more tricks that we can do with our automation. So wonderful. And for the nevers, I'm going to help you out too. All right. So what is Zapier? Zapier, just simply, it is a way to have a trigger. So that trigger could be anything. It could be like someone fills out a form, someone completes a course, right? Anything that triggers then an action. And so Zapier actually connects all the different applications that we use, learning management system, Google Forms, emails. I mean, just name it. I mean, you name an application that you use, and you can probably connect it to Zapier. All these little icons here are different apps that you can connect with Zapier. Now, there are other tools like Zapier. The reason why I'm training on Zapier is because I know Zapier. I have a paid account to Zapier, and so I can show you all the things that I'm going to train you. Now, the only drawback that I have to make you aware of is that Zapier on the free version only allows one trigger and one action. Of course, I'll get more specific about what that means. But for instance, you can only have one action based on one trigger. So if somebody fills out your form, you can only do one action. So you can only send one email. You can't have a complex set of steps like you could on the paid version. Now, there is another type of automation tool called Make. Make, M-A-K-E, automation. And so everything I'm going to teach you about Zapier, you can apply to Make, but I'm going to focus on Zapier because of the reasons that I listed before. But if you're worried about like, oh, Zapier doesn't give me enough on the free and I can only use a free automation tool, just write down Make automation. All right. And that is another tool that you can use these same principles for to automate your tasks. Okay. So that's my disclaimer here, but I'm going to teach you how to do everything in Zapier, which translates to Make. All right. So basically, it just like I said, Zaps, it's the connection between the two apps. So it's the connection between your learning management system and an email. It's a connection between a form and sending a message to Slack, right? And notifying your team, oh, so-and-so has completed this form, or, you know, sending reports to yourself. And so that's what a Zap is. A trigger is what is the thing that initiates the action. So when a form is filled out, that's the trigger, right? They press submit on the form. That is the trigger. That's, you know, triggering the gun, if you will. And then the action is the bullet that comes out. So what is the bullet that comes out? So whenever they fill out the form, then you might want to automate an email. You might want to automate your message in Slack. You might want to enroll them in another course, right? Whatever that is, that's your action, and those are your triggers. And that's really the fundamentals of automation. You need a trigger and you need an action, right? And so what you want to think about are what are the things that I can get off of my plate through triggers and actions, right? So if you're taking multiple tiny little manual actions, it can probably be automated with Zaps. So you identify the tasks. So I'm going to definitely ask you guys some of the tasks that you have, but I'm also going to share some common ones that you may or may not have already thought of. And then you determine what is the trigger, what is a way. And sometimes you might have to create the trigger. So for instance, I use a ton of Zaps in our vocational school, Idle Academy. So for instance, whenever somebody completes maybe it's a completion certification. So when they complete that, they fill out a type form. That type form is then, when they fill that out, that's the trigger, right? When they fill out the type form and press submit, that's the trigger. And then it goes to Credly, which hosts my badges, right? And so that's the action. And then I award them the badge in Credly. That's the action. And then I have an email sent out. That is another separate action, right? And then you set up the integration. So you do that inside Zapier. I'm going to get inside of Zapier. You're going to see exactly what that means to set up the integrations. All it means is like you're going to log in to Credly through Zapier. That's what I mean by setting up the integrations. You'll test the workflows. You do that in Zapier or Make, right? And you test them every single step. We're going to do an example. You guys can play along with me. And then this is another step that I want to add, and I think it's really important, and that is document your automations for future team members, right? There are so many times when, your automation might break, and there's multiple different reasons why that might happen. Or if you are leaving or you're going on vacation, somebody needs to know about your Zaps. And of course, it's just good practice, right? You document the things that you set up in your workflow. Create your own SOPs. All right, so some of the common workflows that I identified, and of course, I'm going to want to hear yours. Whenever a student registers for a course, right, you'd like to automate student registration. How much it's a lot easier to put it in their hands for them to fill out their form and all of that kind of stuff, rather than you taking it all into yourself and then uploading a CSV file and then sending out the emails and so on and so forth, right? So if you can put that in the learner's hands to register for the course, and then that triggers a set of actions that gets them all set up. And you can even set up actions like, okay, they're registered for the course, and now I have a drip series of emails that's going to go out every week, for either that spaced practice or to remind them to get back into the course and finish it, or so on and so forth. So you can create some pretty cool workflows. Compliance training. How many times have you had to go to the spreadsheet, and find out who needs to re-up their compliance training every single year. Why not automate that task? You never have to worry about it. The emails get sent out, and you can pester people to get their compliance training done through automation. Onboarding new hires. How many tasks you have to do every time there's a new hire that comes into your company, right? You've got to get them into the HR portal, and you got to get them signed up for their onboarding training, and they've got to meet this person, and they got to meet that person, and so on and so forth. What if you could just trigger it and set up the actions to cascade? Course completion tracking, right? So I know that you can, of course, log into your LMS, and you can go to the reports and the analytics, and you can see where people are in their progress. But wouldn't it be nice if it just sent all the information to an Excel sheet or, a Google sheet, right? Because it's going to have online apps. Send it to a Google sheet, and then it creates a pretty report, and then it sends it to you and your team in Slack. And so now you are just have one place that you are getting updates, right? Save yourself a few clicks. Automating certificate generation. Now, I know a lot of learning management systems do this, but for example, you guys are going to earn a certificate at the end of this training today. And so in that example, I don't really have an LMS for you. And so how can I automate giving you guys a certificate in Zapier automations for learning and development? Well, I'm going to show you how to do that. Course content updates. Yeah, you could do that, right? You can actually have your files. Now, this is a more complex one. I'm not going to get all the way into course content updates. That's probably an advanced thing, but it is something that you can automate, right? So if you had, forgive me if I get a little technical, but if you have like an FTP, like a file transfer protocol system, and then you change or modify or update the packages that you put your e-learning into, then you can have it automate where it actually goes and will automate it to your LMS and so on and so forth. Quiz grading. Now, of course, a lot of times you have this built into your LMS, but what if you want other actions to cascade after you have the grades? Or what if you have a complex quiz that's outside of your LMS? So for example, I have one that I've had to build in Typeform because I have some logic and conditioning on that quiz that, is easier to build it out in Typeform than to build a storyline or so on and so forth. And so then I have, the information go to a Google Sheet. I have, the Zapier read the Google Sheet, and then based on their score, then some other actions happen, right? And then, of course, reporting and analytics. So I give some of these common L&D workflows to you because I really want you to start thinking about what are some of those tasks that are on your list that we can apply automation to. And so that's what I want to ask you, because then I'm going to get into how to do it. But I want to see if there's any other tasks that I didn't think of that are happening for you in your department and in your role. And so what are some of the tasks you'd like to automate for your learning and development department? So any low-level tasks or things like that. And if I can do it at a basic level for you today, I will make sure to cover it for you. So give them to me. It could be nudges for course completions, anything like that, that you find yourself manually doing all the time. You're like, gosh, I wish I could get this off my plate. SME review reminders. Well done, Steph. That's a great one. That's a great one. Yep. Creating JIRA tickets when a new lesson is identified. Okay, yeah, and JIRA is a project management tool from what I understand. And so, yes, you can absolutely integrate that. Dun, dun, dun. Or is it at a help desk? Is JIRA a help desk? Yes, you get there.
I think it's project management.
It is project management. Okay.
I think it's geared more towards like dev teams, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Tara, you can let us know in the chat if we got it totally wrong.
When I see I thought it was project management, then I saw tickets and I was like, wait, is that a help desk? Oh, submission locked. I'm sorry. Were you guys still typing? Did you have any other things? Oh, as an intake and a project manager. Okay, so I think we might be both right. Okay, project management. Okay, Jira integration, awesome. Automatically creating a team chat in Teams for an upcoming virtual classroom courses. Yes, we could totally do that. Okay, I probably should. I'm going to lose some of these and write one down. Team chat. Well, I'm going to show you the basics of all of this. Well, I'll do Teams chat and Jira. Orientation reminders and 90-day evaluation reminders. Yes, I'm definitely going to cover that. Okay. And then you'll just want to identify like whatever your triggers and actions are, like what are the apps. Okay, so I saw that some of you use Jira. I saw that you use Microsoft Teams. What are some of those common apps that you use? I also, I was trying to do some digging on what are like the most common LMSs that are in corporate. And I just got a whole bunch of, advertisements. And so if you guys would put in your LMS, I am curious to see what you guys are looking. Okay, Learning 360. Okay. Or use the Rise LMS. Okay. Now, that's when you might get a little bit into the more advanced part of automation. So if, for instance, and I think I looked up Learning 360 does not have an integration directly with Zapier, but you probably have access to what they call the API or like the back end where you can get an API token. I know. So forgive me if I'm just getting a little too deep here, but you get an API token and create what's called a webhook. And so basically, even if it's not in the Zapier list of apps that they're already integrated with, you can still find a way to integrate with your LMS as long as you can get an API token from that LMS. Okay. Oh, yeah. So for example, if it's an archaic and small one, if you can get into the back end and get that API token from them, then you can create a webhook and then you can still do all the same things with the triggers and the actions in Zapier. Just instead of it being a direct app integration with Zapier, you're going to have to do a little bit of setup in the back end. Asana and Google Drive, those are easy. Those are already integrated with Zapier. I've never heard of that one. SeerTech. All right, cool. All right, wonderful. And that's good to know. So we'll do a little testing with Litmos, Learning 360, Rise, Workday. I'm pretty sure Workday has some integration in Slit. I know Asana does. I also use Asana. SeerTech, not sure. And when you guys find out about how wonderful Zapier is, you might end up being like me, where I only now will buy apps for, my school or whatever else that we're doing that integrate with Zapier, because if it can't be automated, I don't want to do it. All right. All right. So course registration. Now you guys are going to see some apps that I use that you probably don't use, but the concepts are going to be the same. And if I can pull up your tool, I will. The only trouble is I won't be able to test it for you because, like, for instance, I don't have an account with Litmos, so I won't be able to set up that integration, but I'll be able to show you how you can do it. Or I don't have, a subscription with Learning 360, so I can't integrate it, but I can show you how to set it up. But it's very simple, right? You want somebody to automate their course registration. You could say, for instance, like, your whatever training is rolling out, fill out this form, and then you have them fill out the form, and then that registers them for the course, which is pretty awesome, right? Because like I said, right, you used to probably have to take an Excel sheet, turn it into CSV files, upload it yourself, and so on and so forth. But if you can have a form as a trigger that people fill out themselves, then everything else happens in the background. So let's see how this works. All right. So let me go to create a Zap, and I'm going to create a course registration Zap for you. Now I'm already logged in. You guys will have to create your own free account, right? And it'll look something like this, right? Where you go to, I'll just make sure that you can see login. Okay, I'm in. right? And I'm going to create a Zap. So for me, I would want to create a Zap here, right? So course registration. Let's see if I can get the LMS like Litmos or whatever. So let's see what kind of ones are available. I know you guys said, let's see if I can use any of yours. Let's see, Litmos. Nope, huh? Okay. Learning 360. Or is it 360 Learning? 360.
I think it was Learning 360.
Okay, they don't have one then. Okay. Rise, let's see. All right, Rise has one. So like I said, I don't have an account with them, but this is exactly what you would do. You would choose the event, right? And so, pardon me, I was testing to see if they had Rise, and now I need to add a step. All right, pardon me. Leave, because remember you need your trigger first, right? So you want them to set up, I'm going to do it my way. Here we go. You want to set up the create a Zap, new Zap. Okay. So for instance, I would have them fill out a form, type form, or you could have them fill out a Google form, right? Because that'd be free, right? And so when a new form is submitted, then I press continue. Then see, this is what I mean by the integration. You got to choose your account. So you have to have your account already set up, and you can just log it in here. See, I've used with Typeform for 79 Zaps. Can you imagine if I had to do all that manually? Okay, and so for the form, it'll pull up automatically all of your forms in Typeform, or if this was Google Forms, it would pull up all of your forms that are in Google Forms that are in the drive that you identify, which is pretty wonderful. And if for some reason it doesn't pull them up, you can actually press load more. So I'm just going to say, bum, 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 bum. I want to pick one that they have not actually been filling things in with. So I'll do that. And then you want to test your trigger. All right. Oh, good. Lorem ipsum. Perfect. We're going to continue with that. That's our trigger. And then now that they filled out the form, we want to register them into a course. And so since I have Kajabi as one of mine, I'll just do that. Okay. I know that you guys could do this in Rise, but you have to set it up with Rise. And so I would get stuck at the integration part. So here's my event, and then I want to grant access to an offer. That's what the courses are called in Kajabi, which is an LMS. And then continue, and then you start filling in the things, right? So it's for idle courses. I would choose the offer, right? So maybe it's build your online portfolio. And then I type in their name, but I don't have to type in their name because what's great about Zapier is it actually pulls in all the form information. So what's the member's first name? Well, it would be, where's their name? I picked the wrong form. This was wonderful. I was trying to go off script and show you. Here we go. Let's pick a different form. Let's pick one where they have their name in it. Okay. Or like Steve Badge. Need one with a name. All right. Here we go. Now, give me the names. All right, they're gonna make me test my trigger. Okay. We got tests in there. Perfect. Now we can put her name in there. What is your first and last name? What is their email? You can just continue to click it in there. What is the email? What is your user ID? And then send them an email. You just choose yes or no, right? And that's all you have to do. You just keep going through, filling it out, You press continue. We can test this step. Oh man, I'm going to skip the test because it's going to send an email to a real person. But I do have something that you can actually practice with at the end, and you can see the zap fire, right? So that's just how easy it is. You can skip, you would test it, right? You would probably like go and put in your own, like, like when I tested, I put in my own entry into Typeform. I pull that up and it, go to my own personal email so I can test it. And then you just press publish. Once you press publish, that's it. So every time a new entry comes into Typeform, it will register them for a class that you're choosing in there. And then make sure that you, are real detailed in what the name of the function of the zap that you've created, right? Because you're going to want to be able to go and find it later. And you're going to want to probably be able to share those with your colleagues. All right. Here's another one that I have, which is ZAP compliance. So if anti-harassment training expires for an employee, then you want to enroll them in the compliance training and you want to send them an email. So for this one, I actually have something I can share with you, which is I've already created the workflow. It says Thinkific and so on and so forth. But again, it can be your LMS like Rise. And then you have it go to the next step, which is, add a student to your to the course, right? Or you can have it review a calendar, or you can have it, right? Those are the kinds of things that you can do. So I'm going to grab this template for you, everyone. And I'm just going to send you the template so that you can go and play with it. But so the same kind of thing. If I was to set this up where I wanted to trigger people, to go and re-up their certifications, then it would be something just as simple as this, right? So say I would go to, I would have a zap go from every time somebody completed a course, right? I would have that information go from the LMS to a Google Sheet. And then that gives the date of when they completed it, right? And then you can pull up a trigger, right? So you've already created that. So you can go to Google Sheets. You say, okay, I know when everybody. So new or updated spreadsheet row. So you can actually do this. So it's like when it's been updated, or you can have it do it from. You can have it read. You can have it read the Google Sheet. So read Google Sheet to find dates that are over a year old. This is pretty cool. This is actually a new thing that they started doing. There you go. So when a new spreadsheet row is in there, only continue if, and that of course is if the date is over. Oh, oops. Sorry about that. We'll just regenerate. There you go. So there's a new spreadsheet row in Google Sheets, only continue if, and you're going to keep updating that sheet, right? So every time a new one comes in, you're going to have it go and look at the previous rows and only continue if, I got to set up the thing, right? But instead of spending all the time setting up, I just want to show you the logic, right? So every time it goes thing, then you want to continue, you choose the field and you'll choose the date field. If this is, and then you'll choose the condition. Right, so if it's over a year, so greater than, or I mean after a year, right? And then you can look up that row and then you can create another step, right? Another action, which is enroll them in a course or and send them an email. So it's into that one. Completion tracking. Right, so every time an LMS marks a learner as complete, then you can pass that information to a Google Sheet and send a channel message in Slack. So I probably should show you this one first. And then I will give you this one, right? So my other LMS is Experienceify. So when they complete a course, it goes to a Google Sheet, and then I have a delay, right? And then I send a channel message. Bump, bump, bump. Here's another one for you. And I want to show you award a certificate. Now, this is one of the things that I'm going to do for you today that you're going to see live, right? So whenever in the LMS, it marks the learner as complete, you can actually create your certificate in Google Slides. So what I usually do is I'll go to Canva, I'll make my certificate, I'll download it as an image, right? And then I'll go to Google Slides and I'll upload that image. And then I will just put, and I think I need to show you. And I'll put, let's see, Google Slides. Google Slides. I'm sure you guys can do this, but I wanted to show you what it looks like. All right, so I made this quickly in Canva yesterday. I downloaded it as an image. I put it here. It's just an image. And then on top, I put a name, right? You have to put these little brackets just like this, right? And then save it. So this is Zapping Certificate template, right? So you save it as a template, right? And then when you go to Zapier, I'll go my Zaps. Boop. All right. So now, when I get a new entry and type form, right, then the event, and then that's a trigger, right? And then the action is that they are going to create a presentation from my template. So all I did was I selected Google Slides, and then I selected the template, which is Zapier Certificate template. You don't actually have to make it a template. You just need to have the word template in the title. And then from there, okay, now you put it in there, title of the new presentation. I pulled in the first name, last name from the form. So it's Zapier Certificate for first name, last name. Is it shared? Yes. And then it already automatically identifies that there's name in brackets. And so then I put first name, last name from the form in there. And then it'll send an email. So it'll send an email to the person who put their email address in. You put in their information. This is the little message you guys are going to get. And then attachments. Now, this is a little trickier because you'll need to put in the address, like this part, and then grab the presentation ID, which is actually an option for you whenever you are in this thing. So I'll edit so you can see. Edit, not that action. So you'll see I manually put this in Google Docs presentation /D. Usually the presentation ID is, but remember you're creating new ones for every single person that's going to earn the certificate. So you just want to grab it from Zapier, right? Which I got it from here, create presentation. And then I put in the presentation ID, which is right here. So I just clicked that. And then I put in /export PDF. Now, the thing about automations is there's probably 100 different ways that you could do this, but this was the easiest way for me to show you how to convert a Google slide into a PDF for an email. And that is just changing the link, right? And then just pulling in the new presentation ID from every, slide template that's created, right? And that's it. And so then it'll send it. As a matter of fact, I've already sent myself one. And by the time you guys are done, you guys are all going to get your own Zapier certification, and it's all going to be done through the triggers, right? You're going to put in your name and your email address. And then Zap is going to trigger and it's going to create the presentation from the template and it's going to send you an email and it's going to attach it. Same thing for reporting. Reporting is another thing that you can do, right? You can do it daily, weekly, or monthly. And basically, all you're doing is you're having when, someone pulling analytics from your LMS, which would be, you'd have it, the trigger would be like maybe the day of the month. And then the action would be, pull in the analytics from my LMS. And then maybe your secondary action would be, send it as an update in Slack. And I know you guys had another one, which I wanted to do for you live. So if, for instance, boop, 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 you want to, well, let me go back to what you guys said about the thing in Teams. What you guys say? Automatically create a team chat in Teams for an upcoming virtual classroom course. Okay, so I imagine that that's going to be something pretty simple, right? Where how are we going to know that what's going to be the trigger, right? Automatically create a team chat in Teams for an upcoming virtual classroom. Are we going to know that the upcoming virtual classroom is from a Google Calendar? And you can put it in the chat if you got it for me. Or is it going to be triggered by a form? Or what's your trigger for an upcoming virtual classroom? I would assume there's a calendar that you use. A start date. Wonderful. Okay. So you could even do it as a start date, or you could even get more sophisticated, because if it's start dates, I imagine that you're going to have to go and manually update, which you don't want to do that, right? You're trying to get away from that. So if you create a Zap where you integrate, okay, from your calendar, okay, beautiful. All right. So if you integrate from your calendar, Google Calendar, and I was to say, okay, every time, an event starts, right? Continue. I'll just use that one. And then I'll use my calendar. I've got quite a few calendars. We'll just go with the idle schedule. How far before the event do you want us to trigger it? So in 15 minutes, maybe, or something like that. Of course, you can set what that is. You can also trigger only on events containing the search term. So you could put something like virtual. If you guys include the word virtual training in every single calendar event, then instead of creating, this Slack channel or this Teams account channel for every single event, instead you can actually filter by the term. And so then for every event that you put in, you'll just want to make sure you use the same term. Or, if you create a calendar just for virtual events, then you don't have to worry about filtering, right? And then I continue. Now I'm going to test my trigger. Okay. And then I'm going to do, I'll probably need to do Slack to show you how it goes, but let's try Microsoft Teams. And choose an event. Create a channel, you guys said, right? And then it wants me to connect and sign in. So instead of doing Teams, I'm going to show you with Slack. Same concept. I'll just do Slack, because I'm already integrated with that one. Choose an event, create a channel, continue, sign in, allow. Oh, yes, that's fine. This is what your integration will look like whenever you guys connect to Microsoft's Teams. Channel name. And so you can actually create it. So it would create it virtual training. Continue. And then you would send a channel to Slack. So I'm about to send a channel to my Slack, so I could test the step. And it was created, right? And so now I can publish. So if I go to my Slack, I don't even know what y'all about to see, but here it is, virtual training. That's just how fast it was to create a new channel. And then you press publish whenever you're done. All right. What was this? I saw a message in here. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, you want to automate the message. Oh yeah, we could do that too. All right, Martin. So you can create the channel in Slack. Okay, continue test. And we can also say Slack. And let's see. Send channel message. Continue. And then pick a channel. And then it would be virtual training. And then you put in your message right here, right? You could even say like, you know, a summary, or you could put the HTML link in there. You could, you know, event begins, you know, it's a summary. It's the event is Robin works. And so you can even put that in your message text, plus maybe some actual things. Here is some more message. And then, no, we don't want to send it as a bot, right? Oh, it'll appear as it comes from you. Yeah, so yeah, we want a trick. And then so we don't want to send it as a bot. And include a link to this Zap. You can attach images as well. And link usernames and so on. You just go on and put that in, right? So you can even add a step, right? Instead of just, yeah. So once it's created, you can even add another step, right? You can, so what's cool about Zapier and all these other kinds of things is you can filter and you can format and you can delay. So once the channel is created, right, you can filter only when a condition is met, right? So say only continue if, you know, channel created in Slack, and then you can narrow it down from there, right? Like whatever that new channel is created. So let's see. I'll finish this. I would finish this one, but you guys don't even use Slack. Do you? Does anybody use Slack? I didn't see anybody say they use Slack. Oh, you do use Slack. Okay, well, cool. Then I'll go ahead and test it. All right. And then if I publish it, I can actually share a link to share it with you as a template. Details, create template. So now you can have this one too. And then share. Okay, so we already went through the automation steps, but I have a few more minutes. And if you guys have any other things you want to see, like, oh, can you show me how to automate XYZ? We can do that. Dun, 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 dun. I know we did the Teams one. Oh, Jira, that was another one, wasn't it? Okay, so let's go to that. Am I still sharing? Yeah, I am.
Okay. Yes, you are.
All right, so let's go to create a new Zap. Let's see what we can do in Jira. Now, again, I won't be able to do the whole thing because I don't have Jira, but I'll show you if it's in there. Oh, yeah. So I don't know which one this is. Is it the service management? Is that what it is? Service management?
Sure, maybe.
Request? I think it's
Tara says it's the Jira Cloud. Was that one of the options?
Let's see if Jira Cloud is one. And that might not even be your trigger, right? Let's see, Jira. Oh, here it is, Software Cloud. Okay, awesome. All right, so you can, I guess you say when there's a new issue created, then I would connect it, and then I can connect it to another action, right? Is there any, what did you want that Jira to do? I can't remember. Creating Jira tickets. Oh, when a new lesson is identified. Okay, so your trigger actually would not be Jira. Your trigger, right, is when a new lesson is identified. So your trigger has to come from the LMS or form or something like that. So when a new epic is created. Oh, when a new epic, is that the name of the LMS, I'm guessing? Let's see if that one's in here. No results for epic. A new. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that epic is in Jira. So
Okay. Okay, so then you'd have to log in and see it. But like basically that it's just that simple, right? Like what's the trigger and what's the action? So whenever epic is created, which you would log in and you'd be able to select that, right? Then you'll be able to issue the ticket type. So I can't go all the way for you, but I think you got the concept. Okay. Abraham Lincoln says, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. And I really think that's what automations are. They are a way to sharpen the axe and get things done for you. Not only are you spending the time sharpening the axe, then you don't even actually have to swing the axe, which is pretty cool. And so today I would love to answer any questions you have. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, what was the tipping point for you? Now, to be fair, I mean, I'm in a little bit of a different place, right? I run an entire school, an online virtual school. And so for me, automation has become a business necessity, right? Because if I didn't use automations, I would have to hire people to do all of the tiny manual tasks. So for me, that was the biggest tipping point. Also, I'm lazy. So I think that was also part of it, right? Like I don't want to spend my mental power and energy, pressing buttons when we have to do some deep focus work, right? If you're an instructional designer, you're a training manager, you've got other priorities other than manually doing things, right? If you're an instructional designer, you've got to meet with SMEs, you've got to, that was another case study, right, that you guys said. I could totally show you how to send follow-ups to SMEs, right? It's a Gmail type of integration. But if you have to do all of those things, the idea of the mindless work, it just takes time away from the focused work that you have to do. And so for me, that makes it worth it. Like I said, you can do make automation, which is another tool. Make automation, bum, 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 where you can get quite a few. You can get quite a few for free that you can't get with Zapier. So, okay, understood. So when it says getting started for free, I want to show you that you actually it's a no-code visual workflow, which is basically just like Zapier, but you get 1,000 operations a month, whereas with Zapier, you only get 100. And what that means is like it runs the task, right? So if I had to send out 100 emails, then that would close my free account for that month, right? If I have 100 students I need to register, that means that Zap would run 100 times and I'd be out of credits. But in Make, you get 1,000 a month. And so that might be another place that you want to start off if you want to start off for free. You also get multiple actions. They don't have any limits on the actions, whereas in Zapier, you can only do one trigger and one action. And so Make might be, another one that you want to go play with because of the amount of things that you can do for free with Make. Okay, so a follow-up with a SME, if you guys want to do that one, you can actually, so I guess it would be, you'd want to trigger it whenever it is done. So for example, you might say something like, maybe if you use Asana, right? So when you're in Asana, right, and the event is triggered when a task in a project is updated. So if you wanted to update it as under review, right, which probably means it's going to the SME or whatever you're going to set up. That's why you have to like set up the integrations, right? Then I'll be like, okay, here's my workspace. Here's my project. I don't know. Creative requests. And I have to go turn off a bunch of things. Okay. So whenever you update your action, then you want to send an email, right? And then you would shoot the email, right? So send an email. And you can actually, delay. Don't forget that you have all these other options that you can add in between here. Oh. Okay. So you fill out that information, but you have other things that you can fill out, right? You can delay the time. You can have it, filter, right? Or based on what it is of when you want to nudge your subject matter expert. Like you could filter only if, task is not updated within, 2 days or however many times that you give however long you give your SME to get, your review back to you, you can continue to nudge them based on filters, which is pretty cool. All right. So it's up to you. I hope that answered your question, April. And if you guys scan this QR code, you can fill out the type form, which is just your name and your email address. And when you do, check your email because you will get a certificate with your name on it. I could also give it to you. Do you guys all get the link? If not, I can drop it in as well. All right, we already got 4 responses. So here you go. Here's the link to the type form, which will trigger your certification. Of course, you guys are welcome to follow me on LinkedIn. If you want to learn more about our virtual vocational school, we are having a open house tomorrow, or you can go check us out, idlecourse.com/academy. But yeah, if you guys are there any other questions that I can answer for you or anything else I can show you? I know I kind of ran through a lot of it pretty quickly.
Well, the good news is it was recorded, so everyone will be getting the recording if they want to kind of follow along step by step afterwards. You can do that. I think we have answered all of the questions that we had in the chat. So thank you so much for that, Robin. Everyone, if your 2024 goal was to be more organized and more efficient, I think this is the perfect strategy for you. And thank you to everyone who joined us today. We love seeing you on our webinars. And if we don't see you all again, have a wonderful rest of 2023. Have a great holidays, whatever holidays you are celebrating. And we'll see you all back in January, refreshed and ready to get started.